Hey, sports fans, it's me, Bob Zulke, Sportsman Z, and I'm here with another video. And today I want to talk about projects that you can do when you receive your new baseball set, or your really the baseball computer game. If you get the computer game, there's more projects you can do, there's more things you can do, and you can do them quicker because the computer keeps the statistics for you and you don't have to do that yourself, and playing is just a lot quicker. And the projects really are they're the same across the board for football, baseball, hockey, basketball. It, these work with all of them. And the most obvious thing that you can do is like when I get I get the computer game mainly because I'm in leagues. So I use the computer game to receive the league files from the commissioner, and then make my own, make the CM for my team, and then send him the CM, and it gets incorporated. And I'm in 3 baseball leagues and 2 hockey leagues, so the game comes in. The game is invaluable in helping along those lines. But there are people who say, well, I have the computer game, I'm in a league, and I'm using it for my league, but what else can I do? And I guess the most obvious thing that you can do, if you want to, is to replay the actual season. But to replay the actual season, if you really want to do it like really replaying the actual season, you have to use the uncarded players and incorporate those guys into the league schedule, the actual league schedule, using also the actual stadiums that the teams played in. And you have to try to adhere as closely as possible to how much time those guys actually played. So when people like, say, Francisco Lindor, say he's injured from July 2nd through July 15th. Well, when you replay that schedule, if you're replaying the Cleveland Indians schedule, you have to make sure that from the 2nd to the 15th, Lindor is not in the lineup, and whoever replaced him on every one of those days is the person that replaces him. So, I mean, from that aspect, it can be kind of a pain. I guess the primary reason for doing that would be to just see how closely Strat-O-Matic really resembles real life, how closely it mirrors real life, which it claims to do. And in fact, they say, Strat-O-Matic says, the only way you can really rely on the statistics to be accurate for any given player is if you replay the season. In other words, their cards and the way that they make the players is geared towards a replay of the exact season. And so if you take Aaron Judge and you put him in one of your mixed leagues where it's a draft league and guys have all different kinds of players, then they'll say Aaron Judge may or may not perform close to what he actually did. But they say he will if you were to take the Yankees and replay the actual 2000, in this case 2018 season, because the 19 set isn't out yet, and not even completed yet. So that's what they say. So if you want to test the accuracy, and I would be really interested to hear from people who do this and find out how accurate it really is, because actually I don't do that. I don't really want to go through and just replay the exact season, and do all of the research to find out what games players missed and make sure that I'm not overusing any single one of the players in a play at home league because I have to deal with that in my actual strat leagues, in my mixed leagues. So another thing that you can do, and there's different variations of this. You could take the actual season, the 2018 season, and you could just throw all the players into the free agent pool, and then do a redraft. Use the computer to redraft, and you take a team and you draft for that team. Or you could have the computer. What I do is, like, in some leagues, what I do is I throw all the players into the free agent pool. I have the computer draft for everybody, and then I'll just say going in, I'm taking the White Sox, and it doesn't matter to me who the computer drafts for the White Sox. I'm taking the White Sox. But but I could say, well, okay, I'm the White Sox manager. I want to make sure I got the players I get, and so I want to draft when the White Sox pick comes up, and that's another way to do it as well. Another way to do it is, there's all kinds of different variations. Another way to do it is to take fringe players, just throw the fringe players into the free agent pool, and then redraft from the fringe players and mix them up. Another thing that I like to do, and really when I do these replay leagues where I jumble everybody up, usually I whittle the league down from 30 teams or 31 or whatever it is, 30 teams, I think, 30 teams. I usually whittle it down from 30 to about 20 or 24 or something like that, so that I have a few extra players for every team and that I don't run into an overuse problem. Because even when I do a play at home league, I try to somewhat adhere to, not really ridiculously overusing people. But another thing I like to do is just make my own stock leagues from other past leagues. I might say I'm going to have a 20-team league, and I'm going to have a few 1983 teams. I'm going to have a few 2018 teams. I'm going to have a few 1978 teams, and put them all together. Of course, when you do that, you have to make sure that you have enough of a gap that you don't have overlapping players, so that, like, maybe whatever, Ron Say or somebody like that doesn't appear on two of the teams in the league. And then just take the teams and play them like that. Like, the 78 Dodgers are the 78 Dodgers. The 83 Orioles are the 83 Orioles. And then again, you can do the same thing that I mentioned before. You can take that league that you put together of those teams and then just throw all those teams into a free agent pool and then redraft from that. That's also kind of fun. In fact, one project I'm thinking of doing, if you watched one of my my past videos when I talked about my all-time Strat team, I had the cards and the stats made by Strat, so I can actually remake that team in the computer game and then put them into a league with a couple of 83 teams, a couple of 18 teams, a couple of 78 teams, and then see how they do. And again, making sure that none of the players on my team are repeated on any of the others. And that's another point. Also, another thing that you can do is you can make your own players in Strat-O-Matic. Usually what I go to is create player, create pitcher, whatever, and then I just create it from scratch. Either I create it out of my own head, making the player, keeping in mind the general things that Strat has, like a pitcher's card has an X, a ground ball or fly ball X to every position on the field at least once. So you keep those things in mind and just make it up out of your head, or you use other cards that you've got that you can look at, like from the card collection. I might go, or if you have the Strat, they have an app that they put out. It's like $5 a month for it, where you can look up any player's card from any year and they have the card. So you could do it that way, or if you have a lot of cards like I do, you just go and get a card from the collection, you look at it, and you make that player and make it be that player. Like take again take a Ron Say card from the past. You can make it be Ron Say, or you can just make it be. You can give the player a name that you want to give him, a make believe name. So there's a lot of different projects you can do. I just wanted to throw a couple of them out there and a couple of things that you can do with the game to help you do other things if you have the time, other than just using the set to play your leagues. Because some people have a lot of time and they can do other things, and it's interesting. And I think I am definitely going to sometime put all those players together again that I had on my top player list, my top strat team list, and make that team and then throw it into a league with other stock teams from other seasons and see how it does. So that might be interesting too. Because it's interesting, especially when you get like the 1890 sets or the early 1900s. It's interesting to mix those guys into different seasons and see how they would do. How would Lefty O'Doul do against Max Scherzer? How would he do against Bud Black? Things like that are interesting to see, the interesting matchups. And so those are a few things that you can do. You could just replay the season straight. And again, I want to hear from people who've done that, see if it works for them. Or you can do mix and match of stock teams, or mix and match of all the players from all of the teams and throw them into the free agent pool, and then have the computer redraft. You can make up your own players. A lot of things you can do. A lot of projects that are very interesting that you can do. And so I want to hear from everybody out there. What do you do? What are some of the things you do? Different variations of what I mentioned, or just doing the stock replays. Let's hear from everyone. And again, I want to remind everyone, these are my contacts on Twitter and on Instagram. You can give me ideas there or send your comments there as well. I will respond to those. And don't forget to subscribe. And also don't forget, coming up on Tuesday, I am going to do a random picking of all subscribers. And the winner will win the 1973 Strat-O-Matic baseball card set, the reissued 1973 Strat-O-Matic card set. So keep that in mind. That's something to think about. But for right now, it's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, signing off.